Many developers say that they're going to continue to support their game after launch, but what they really mean is they'll provide a couple of bug patches, they'll throw some DLC content against the wall to see if we'll pay for it, and then they'll toss in the towel. And if we're really lucky, they'll add some additional content on the game's anniversary date or something that probably should have been part of the original release in the first place.
But, okay, that is not the case. That's very dramatic. It is not the case with the Halo Master Chief Collection, because it has been nearly 8 years after the release of this title, and we are still getting brand new content and free updates. And considering that the base game just hit its 20th birthday, this level of continued support for a console game is nearly unprecedented.
We don't want to sound ungrateful for all this extra Halo goodness.
No, not at all.
Really don't, especially because we didn't have to pay for any of it.
I know.
It just feels like every time that I get a hankering to dust off the Master Chief Collection and get some classic Halo action, my console always seems to think now is the perfect time for a 30 gigabyte update that renders my game unplayable until it's finished installing. I appreciate the extra content, I truly do. Huge fans of Halo. I just wish the timing of these updates didn't always seem to find a way to coincide with the incredibly small portions of time that I have available to actually play a game.
So why don't we just have, automatic updates set up on our console to prevent this exact problem?
I'm glad you asked. When it comes to game updates, I prefer to make an individual decision each time for what my console does and does not download, because on a handful of occasions, those automatic updates aren't always so great. Sometimes they contain bugs that damage the integrity of my game saves, or they break portions of a previously playable game that I was enjoying. So I choose to wait a little while until the update has been vetted out and tested by the gaming community, ensuring that I'm not adding something that could potentially be harmful to my game. And by consciously deciding which updates I will allow to download and apply changes to my console, I can protect my progress with the game and prevent the corruption of what I currently possess. Now, sure, it's a little inconvenient.
A little bit.
But sometimes these updates do damage that can never be reversed. So I make the inconvenient choice to err on the side of caution.
This war zone of automatic updates versus intentional downloads runs deeper than just our gaming preferences. It is at the heart of many of the deepest problems that can plague our lives, and I am not talking about our video game installation decisions.
What we choose to download into our lives is of far greater significance than we may often realize. And if we're not active gatekeepers of what we allow our eyes to see, our minds to ponder, and our souls to ingest, we can unintentionally open ourselves up to harmful content that can damage those things that we value the most: our faith, our relationships, and our commitments.
All of the data we allow to be uploaded to our lives has an impact. When the input we are choosing to ingest is harmful, hateful, negative, depressing, or anxiety-inducing, we are feeding our spirit updates, content that corrupts our core and ultimately produces flawed output.
Just like a bad game patch, a broken automatic update can make us unreliable and damage our performance. So, what do? We can't simply lock ourselves in a cave and wrap duct tape around our eyes and our ears and believe that will protect us. While that may sound like a good idea, there are several very large problems inherent with that solution. For starters, I'm just not sure that there's enough caves for all of us to have our own, and the real estate market is ridiculous right now. The biggest challenge to that idea is that even if we go to the deepest, darkest cave on Earth, turn off every automatic update, we don't bring our phones, nothing with us, we've still brought the most dangerous predator to our thought life of all into that cave with us, ourselves.
We choose what we consciously download into our thoughts and minds, and on the occasions when we are not in complete control of the environment around us, we still get to decide what is permitted to remain present and active in our thoughts, planting seeds that will eventually reveal themselves in the fruits of our words and actions.
And now this is not some think your way to a better life concept. I've heard those sermons, read those books, I got the t-shirt. It was completely free with my love gift of $50 or more. Don't wear it anymore. Doesn't fit me. This is not about the power of positive thinking. We've already determined that as human beings, we lack the fundamental capability and discipline to sustain that. We cannot simply overpower our minds and our hearts through sheer effort and determination. Our enemy is stronger, smarter, better prepared, and has the inside track on us. We are our own worst enemies down here, and the downloads that we accept don't make us sin. They simply feed and empower the sin nature that we already possess.
Like a faulty game update, it doesn't completely erase the game and build it from scratch. It just takes what is there and warps it into something it was never intended to be.
Here's the truth about game updates and the downloads we allow access to our minds. It may be inconvenient and time-consuming to carefully review everything we absorb and ingest before accepting it, but it's also necessary. Waiting for a 30 gigabyte download to be completed when I'd rather get straight to playing, it's not fun. But neither is having my entire save file overridden because my system downloaded a patch that completely erased my file, forcing me to start the game over.
Not everything is beneficial for us, and being cautious with what we choose to look at, listen to, and meditate on is more than just a good idea. It is a requirement. There is only one standard for downloads that are consistent with the developer of our hearts, and it is for our protection, not our limitation.
We all face different and unique temptations, which is why some of us have convictions that others don't. So, rather than embracing a legalistic ideology that attempts to prevent sin from occurring by never playing the game in the first place, I have a better idea. Let's choose to ingest the Word of God daily so it can do what it was designed to do, acting as the gatekeeper of what we allow into our minds.
Let's allow His Spirit to be our first line of defense, piercing the thoughts and intentions of our heart, convicting us when appropriate, directing us away from what is toxic, and guiding us towards His perfect will for our lives.